Hi, I'm Jhoser. I'm the clarinetist in Aura Contemporary Ensemble at the University of Houston. It's my pleasure to be able to speak with Matt Ingalls, the composer of CrusT and who is based in Oakland, in California. Thank you, Matt, for allowing us to include your work in the one-on-one project and for speaking with me today. I really appreciate it. So, as I told you before, I had a lot of fun playing the piece, playing CrusT. I'd like to ask you a few questions. So the first one I have is, can you tell us a little bit about the name, how it came to be, and how is it related to the music? Like we have an idea. I think maybe we're not too lost, or maybe we are. So what can you tell us about it?
That's funny because I was just thinking about that, and I don't really remember. I mean, it's an old piece, so this is what 25 years ago, right? That I
Right.
wrote it. So it's there's not much meaning, and I think I like the word,
The
and I have
sound
a
of the word.
feeling because I wrote the electronics uh, with C sound and also with some C code that generated some C sound instruments or scores.
Hmm.
So I think there was something to do with the letter C in that, but
Oh, I
uh,
see.
but I wouldn't take too much. It's kind of a silly. I think I like the the way CrusT sounded.
Right.
Really, not
So
maybe.
for the
Go ahead.
ones for the one of us that are a little bit new to electronic music, when you say C sound, can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Sure. So C sound. Well, how much do you want to know? It it has its roots actually to early, what we used to call computer music. It used to be, it was a new thing separate from electronic music.
Right.
So at least back in the '90s when I wrote this piece, uh, that was a strong delineation between electronic music and computer music. Now everything's just done on computers, and people probably just say electronic music. But digital music and its history from Bell Labs and Max Matthews, it was sort of a programming language that they created, that composers who were a little more inclined technically could write simple script code to generate digital sound. And C sound is sort of an evolution of all that work. I
Oh,
guess in
I
the
see.
'60s and '70s and '80s, and it's still around. People are using it, and I was heavily involved in it for a long time, but not so much anymore.
I see.
So it's to a lay person, it looks like computer code that you're writing. It's a
Right.
very high level scripting language, so it's not really a computer language, but it's a text based way to
Right.
specify the electronic sounds.
Okay. So the other question I have, Matt, is so the work process is clearly divided like in two big sections, right? Before the cadenza and after the cadenza. Like there are two tapes that go with the clarinet line. So I was thinking for me the most challenging one to play was the first one, the whole first section. So I was thinking, how is it different the first section than the second one? Is there anything in your mind that you thought it was like, what were your feelings like writing the first, or maybe building the first part of the tape, or that does mean anything special for you, or because I was thinking those two sections they are in the same mood, like they have the same, they belong to the same work pretty much, but they are at the same time very different. Like they're not, they don't have a lot of similitudes between them. So I was very interested in the first section, like that. I really like that tape part in the first part. Can you tell me a little bit about that first section?
Um, yeah, I mean, first of all, the piece as a whole, the tape part,
Uh-huh.
it's all derived from recordings of my own clarinet playing. I'm a
Right.
clarinet player,
Uh-huh.
and so that was that's the real the first thing that the first reason of making the piece is like is make uh, sort of I wouldn't say an extension of the clarinet, because really the way the piece works is as a concerto, really, and the tape
Right.
part is sort of functioning like an orchestra would
The orchestra.
traditionally. But what if you make an orchestra out of all coming from the sounds of the actual solo instrument? So that's, and I think it's been so long, I don't really remember the intent of,
I know.
and it took a long time for me to write. And I was in school. It took, I kind of wrote the first half when I was an undergrad at UT Austin, and then the second half when I was in grad school out here in California at Mills College. So in some ways that also reflects the different environments I was in, because,
Right.
Texas was a pretty straight ahead conservatory style
Mhm.
place, and Mills is known for it being experimental and things. So the piece sort of reflects that as well. But if I had to describe it, yeah, it's. I think the idea is that it kind of starts off maybe a little more traditional, a little more melodic in the playing, and then the tape tries to come in and take over the clarinet. But then you have. Sorry, I'm moving on to the other parts.
Don't worry.
And you move on to a cadenza
Uh-huh.
unaccompanied, and then once the tape comes in again, it kind of just pushes the pushes the clarinetist out of the way,
Takes
and
over.
it's like, okay, now we're a tape. It's really a tape piece by the end there. So
Yeah. Okay, awesome. Okay, I have another question for you. So the tape part, you told me a little bit about this already, but the tape part is it seems complex, not to listen, but just like to put together. So you really, of course, when you listen to the piece, there are a lot of clarinet playing. I mean, besides the clarinet part in the tape, there is a lot of clarinet playing as well. So I guess you had to record all of those. And but beyond that, what else did you use? Is that all digitally generated? How was the process? You told me a little bit about C code already, but
yeah,
what
so
else can you tell me about it?
yeah, a lot of that, as I recall, I mean, because this is back in the '90s, so we didn't, and done mostly on a Next computer, which is probably not as even powerful as your iPhone right now. So,
Mhm.
and limited disk space, that was also another issue. So,
Right.
really the materials wasn't much. I think it was, some key clicks and some sustained tones and some air sound. I think that was it of what I recorded. And so really all the textures are done algorithmically through the code. What they call granular synthesis, which was also back in the '90s kind of a new thing. And
Mhm.
so the idea is taking little snippets of these samples and then using a computer to kind of make clouds and textures of these little snippets by manipulating their pitch and the density of the clouds.
Yeah.
And you definitely hear that in this piece, I
How,
think.
how how long did it take you? Like now that you say it, it seems like a hard work, like it's extensive job.
It's well, it was a lot of waiting around, and the when the end of the cadenza, when the tape kind of emerges out of that
Mhm.
low E,
Yeah.
um, and the idea there was, okay, can I make a texture of, you know tens of thousands of clarinets
Mhm.
sustained at once, and that just like, I ran, started the job in the studio. This was also back where you had to go, couldn't do it at home. So I was at school, started the job, went home, next morning came in, still was running. So I do remember I had to come up with because I realized it wasn't, it was going to take weeks or something
Wasn't
to
practical.
generate. So to create that texture, I actually sort of layered it. So like, I sort of generated just a little sliver of a cluster of sound, and then I did a cluster of the cluster, and then a cluster of those clusters,
Right.
and then just kind of crossfaded it, and so into that sort of large gesture. That,
Oh, I see. You kind of multiply it.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So, well, just the last two questions, Matt. So, is this work similar to any of the other pieces or works that you have done in your career, or is this just like a sui generis, very different outlier thing?
I guess I would. I mean, again, I was a student when I wrote this, and it definitely was a transitional piece for me, I think. And I always say this is the most conservative piece that I've ever written.
Really?
I got, there's, like there's some melodies and there's some tonal centers.
Hmm.
And, once I got out of school, I got heavily involved in improvised music and just more experimental kind of music. So, uh, so in some ways, it's this my music after that isn't related, but it also is, and I have done a lot of just pure tape music, which has a lot of textures like that, and definitely sort of the granular kind of uh, uh, sound world is present in all my music, whether it's acoustic or electronic.
Right. So, is Cross one of your first pieces? I know it's very like that was a long time ago.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, like I said, I moved away. I mean, I still identify as a composer and everything, but I got more involved in improvised music and forming my own group, and so I have a lot of things that are sort of, even this piece in some ways it's sort of ambiguous whether is it a composition or improvisation. It's more structured improv, and is it really my own creation or is it the other players? All it's everything really.
Right. I mean, who are we to tell? So,
Yeah.
and the last question, Matt. So, what are you working right now? What are you involved right now?
Is musically not not I have to say not much. I mean, even before the pandemic,
Oh yeah.
uh, things. I'm hitting middle aged, and things are just. I thought by this point. Sorry to be. I'm not trying to be depressing here, but I thought at this point that in my career things would get easier, and it just
Yeah.
seems to get harder and harder. And even out here, you might have heard of the ghost ship fire.
Yeah.
Like, so I was sort of in. I mean, I wasn't involved totally in that scene, but but similar. I used to live in a warehouse space and put on concerts there,
Uh-huh.
and already that was declining. And then once the fire hit, all of that just sort of went
Mhm.
away. And obviously, no one's doing live music now
Right.
anyway. And my day job's as a computer programmer, so
Uh-huh.
I don't want to make music on the computer when I get off of work, So
Right.
the idea of trying to do performance online or just watch performances online.
I
Uh,
see.
I'll watch yours, of course, uh, yeah, I'm not doing much. I'm doing some arrangements. The Ebony Concerto.
Yeah.
I my wife's a pianist, so I arranged that just for piano and clarinet.
Awesome.
So I'm trying to keep some music going, but
Yeah, please.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, I told you this already, but I want to thank you here, like in the interview, because I'm being honest when I say that I had a lot of fun playing the piece. Like I was a little bit afraid of going into tape music, like into electronic music, because I mean, you need different skills. Like you need to be able to count. You need to be able to follow the tape. Those are very different things than when you're reading like a regular piece of sheet music. So as the first time, it's always a little bit like I was a little bit afraid to be honest. But honestly, I had a lot of fun. So I just want to thank you, Matt. And please keep writing music.
Okay.
That,
Well,
that
thank
was,
you for playing it. Uh, when I wrote this for myself to play, so it's great that you're attempting to play it with with my maybe less than detailed notation and things like that.
I know, but Dr. Smith suggested the piece, and I like it right away. I thought it
Great,
was a really cool thing to try it, and well, you will see the result.
great.
Okay, Matt, thank you very much. I hope you like our recording and our video. Please take care.
Yeah, you too.
Okay, bye bye.